What's going on, guys? Soldier Only here from Sports Nerd Web. Welcome to this episode of Sports Nerd Web Weekly. We've been away for a while. For the last week, my internet was down. I was getting it switched over. But we are back. Today is Thursday, so I am recording this episode on a different day. As you may or may not know, I record and post Sports Nerd Web Weekly normally on Tuesdays. But with today being Thursday, we will also have a new episode of Destiny Unplugged later on in the day, so stay tuned for that. But what I'm going to get into in this episode is during a couple days ago on Valentine's Day, Bungie rolled out Destiny Hotfix 2.5.0.2. So since I wasn't able to make a video about that, I'm just going to go over some of the changes that were made and kind of give my thoughts on them. So let's get right into it. First things first, changes to the Crucible. Special ammo, adjusted special ammo economy in all game types. Players start Crucible matches with special ammo. The special ammo is now lost upon death. However, sidearms are not affected by this change. Special ammo crates now appear every 60 seconds. That's the initial spawn and respawn. Special ammo crates are shared with allies within a 75-meter range, which is down from 100. Special ammo timing in Mayhem is unchanged, which, yeah, I can see that they wouldn't change it in Mayhem because Mayhem, is that chaotic match type anyways, so where everything's a lot faster paced. For the elimination game types, round time limit has been reduced to 90 seconds, which is down from 2 minutes. Players only start with special ammo for round 1 in elimination game types. Special ammo timing is 30 seconds initial, then 45-second respawns. Special ammo is wiped at the beginning of subsequent rounds. As for the weapons, starting off with hand cannons, they significantly increased the initial accuracy, which returns to launch in year 1 types. So that initial first shot that you fire with a hand cannon, the accuracy will be equivalent to what it was in year 1. So I didn't start playing until year 2, so I wasn't around for year 1. So that's going to be, from me, it's going to be interesting to see that. And I've actually recently started to use hand cannons a lot more, which is probably good because it just as a first initial impression, I have a feeling this is going to be a pretty heavy sidearm in hand cannon meta. So they reduced the base range. This is still for hand cannons. They reduced the base range to 35 meters from 40 meters. Reduced aim assist and magnetism at longer ranges. Reduced minimum damage after fall off from 50% to 33%. So a slight decrease there. Now for the auto rifles. This is what I was interested to see what they did with these because I have always been a big user of auto rifles, especially like the Suros auto rifles I like a lot. And one of my favorite auto rifles in the whole game is the exotic Monte Carlo, especially with that super spy shader. That black and red looks amazing on it. So for auto rifles, they increased the precision damage modifier to 1.3 times, which is up from 1.25, so a slight increase there. They increased the base damage of low rate of fire auto rifles by 2.5%. So that's for someone like me, that's good to hear. I mean, it's not a huge increase, but it's a decent size one. But that's good for someone like me to hear because a lot of the auto rifles that I use are kind of like the lower rate of fire ones. Increased in-air accuracy, and that was for auto rifles as well. They increased the in-air accuracy. For pulse rifles, they reduced the rate of fire for very high rate of fire pulse rifles by 7.7%. So that's a good size decrease for the higher rate of fire pulse rifles. But then they increased the rate of fire for low rate of fire pulse rifles by 5.3% to try and even that out. They reduced the magazine size of the Clever Dragon and the Grasp of Malok by 6. They reduced the effect of high caliber rounds for pulse rifles, but increased in-air accuracy. So those changes on the pulse rifles, they're pretty significant. By reducing the rate of fire for the very high rate of fire ones by 7.7%, that's nearly 8%. But then they did increase the lower rate of fires. interesting one too is they reduced the effect of high caliber rounds. When my favorite clever dragon that I ended up with, had, high caliber rounds and I think head seeker. Nothing was a beast. That high caliber rounds was was like the main perk that everyone was looking for on the clever dragon and the grasp of Malok. That pulse rifle archetype. So um, they don't note here, like how much they reduce the effect of the high caliber rounds. So it's going to be interesting to see, how the pulse rifles are now. For all they did for the scout rifles is increased in air accuracy. Now for the shotguns. Shotguns no longer deal precision damage. The Chaperone and Universal Remote are unaffected by this change, so the Chaperone and Universal Remote will still deal precision damage, but the Universal Remote will only deal precision damage when aiming down sights. Shotguns now have significantly less magnetism when fired from the hip. Shotguns now have significantly less in-air accuracy. They no longer have a movement penalty. Shotguns now deal 20% more damage to combatants. So that's a pretty big damage increase for the shotguns. Rangefinder on shotguns now increases the ADS time by 25%. So now if you are using the rangefinder perk on shotguns, it will increase your aiming down sight time by 25%, which is a good size increase. They reduced the Universal Remote's magazine size down to 3 from 5. Universal Remote now takes longer to reload. For exotics, the Young Wolf's Howl, they reduced the Howling Flames ammo cost from 10 to 5. So now when you use it, it will only cost 5 ammo instead of 10. And for the Truth rocket launcher, they reduced the magazine size from 3 down to 1. For the classes, general class changes, they reduced the health of Guardians with armor values above 10. They increased damage of Flux Grenade, Magnetic Grenade, and Shoulder Charge to ensure effectiveness across all armor values. Blink now disables your radar and HUD for a short time after activation. That's going to be interesting to see how that changes. I don't really use Blink too much. So we'll see how that does. Now for the Hunter, I do have all 3 main characters, but I do main a Hunter. Throwing Knife now deals solar damage on impact, which this is kind of an interesting one because the Throwing Knife is a ability for a solar subclass. So why wasn't it always dealing solar damage? So that's kind of an odd one. For the Hungering Blade, immediately starts health regen, restores more health per kill, gives a flat amount of health and shield per activation, does not immediately start regenerating shields. Blade Dancer's Quick Draw perk no longer readies your weapons instantly, but now grants a large increase to weapon handling speed. Let's see, for the Warlock, Viper Totemic on Ophidian Aspect no longer readies your weapon instantly, but it now grants a large increase to weapon handling speed. Stormcaller's Thunderstrike melee range reduced to be consistent with other Warlock subclasses. So that's good to hear. They finally adjusted the melee range for the Stormcaller Warlock. Amplitude will continue to grant small range boost to new base range, and Landfall now reduces the total time in Storm Trance. And for the Titan, the only change they did obviously deals with Juggernaut. Juggernaut is now disabled after being in the air for a short time and cannot be activated while in midair. Let's see, now just some general changes. Outbreak Prime no longer triggers the corruption spreads by shooting at Ward of Dawn. Shinobu's Vow no longer adds an additional seeker to skip grenades. Removed intrinsic perks, knee pads, and Icarus on some talent grids. Fixed an issue where high caliber rounds were not functioning properly on hand cannons, scout rifles, machine guns, and sniper rifles. I wasn't really aware of this issue, but I'm glad that they fixed it because high caliber rounds not working on 4 weapon types is kind of a problem. This is kind of a downfall of these changes, though. Hungering Blade changes were also inadvertently applied to the following perks. Transfusion for the Striker Titan, Carderize for the Sunbreaker Titan, Lifesteal for the Voidwalker Warlock, Red Death perk, Suros Legacy perk for the Suros Regime, No Backup Plans, Ward of Dawncast, the Ram Apotheosis Veil, and Embrace the Voidwalker Warlock. I saw on the Destiny community on Twitch last night someone say that Bungie has acknowledged, that these changes to the Hungering Blade, how they accidentally were inadvertently applied to all these other perks. Bungie knows about it. They are fixing it, and from what I heard last night on Twitch, they should be rolling out a hotfix for this in I think they said like in a couple weeks, so it could be going into maybe early March, by the time these are fixed. So, um, you know, stay tuned to the channel, and I'll keep us updated on that. And that's pretty much it for the notes that they had on the hotfix that came out on Valentine's Day. Like I said, later today on the new episode of Destiny Unplugged, I'll have some gameplay footage and my impressions of the new meta once I get in and play some of the Crucible with this change. I did play a little bit last night, just a few matches on Crucible, and I was my loadout I had was a Suros auto rifle. I think it's like the Righteous or like Righteous 7 or whatever. It's the current New Monarchy auto rifle. Or no, sorry, it's the year 2 one, New Monarchy Suros auto rifle. And then I had the current New Monarchy sidearm, the Impeacher or whatever it is, something like that. And I was doing all right in it. I could notice the slight increase to damage on the auto rifles, but I was still getting melted, by people with hand cannons, getting triple tapped by them. So I think it's still going to be a heavy. You're going to see a lot of hand cannons out there. Probably like I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, what I'm actually going to try out today, maybe now that I'm just thinking about it, maybe a hand cannon sidearm loadout. Maybe like a IS Luna and then a Trespasser or something. Might be good. So since I finally did get an IS Luna back in December during SRL, so I did finally get an IS Luna. I'm still trying to get my Party Crasher. I still haven't got a Party Crasher yet, which sucks because now there's all these changes to shotguns, which I wasn't really a big shotgun user anyways, but I just really wanted try out the Party Crashers. So but that's going to do it for this episode of Sports Nerd Web Weekly. Now that we have, now that we're back up and running, everything should go back to its original schedule. Destiny Unplugged on Thursdays, and then just randomly throughout the week, I post division videos on the briefing. Me and my fiance Fuchsia Only, we have our podcast, the Soldier and Fuchsia Only show on Sundays, and with Walking Dead starting again, our Walking Dead podcast will be starting back up, and we record and post that on Mondays. So yeah, sub to the channel. You can follow on Twitter at SportsNerd48 to keep up to date with everything. So, and all my other social media links are right here at the bottom, so sub to all those, and yeah, that's gonna do it. Thanks for watching. You guys are amazing. Cheers.